Five Star Gang, what up, what up? Appreciate everyone. Join the live stream. Make sure as you're coming in, make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Welcome. What a night last night was. If you tuned into the NFC South Roundtable, man, that was a lot of fun and a lot of shit talking. But hey, it's getting better, man. And shout out to all you Panthers fans that joined into the NFC South Roundtable last night. You got us over. Basically, we're over the hump. I mean, we're over 1,300 subscribers. Looks like we're going on to 1,400. So shout out to all you guys in the chat. King JP. You got Raw Wall Doug's in the chat. Marcos Cash, my guy. 10 Millions. Antonio Friday. Who else? Am I missing anybody else? Lomax is in the chat. Am I missing anybody else? Let me see. Looks like I handled all my business there. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. So today I've got a couple of topics. Number one, I saw this tweet on Twitter, and we're going to go over that one first. And basically, it's a question. Did the Carolina Panthers ruin Bryce Young, or did Bryce Young ruin the Panthers? Like, we're going to debate that. Then we're going to talk about, is this game against the Chargers Bryce Young's last chance? And then we'll get into my week 2 picks. All right. So appreciate y'all. James Aaron, thank you for joining, man. I see you in here. I see you. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to move myself here. Hold on. Move myself out the way. Update layout. There we go. All right, let's rock this joint. All right. So here's the thing. So here's the tweet right here. I don't think you can see because the banner, but there's the banner, there's the tweet. Did the Carolina Panthers ruin Bryce Young, or did Bryce Young ruin the Panthers? I thought this tweet was very, very interesting. Here's the narrative, folks. Here's the narrative. David Tepper ruined us. First off, let's go ahead. Lemonhead drop. Y'all know what I think about him. Lemonhead drop ruined us. Like, the Carolina Panthers are in turmoil right now, and it's a lot of mess. And it falls squarely on, I wouldn't say falls squarely on the shoulders of Bryce Young. Like, part of it is him, but let's not kid ourselves, man. This is a two-way street. Like, the real question is whether did the Panthers have done a stellar job. Really, the question should be here is, did the Panthers have done a stellar job of ruining their quarterback, or if Bryce Young has just spectacularly crashed and dragged this entire franchise down with it. Like, first off, let's talk about the Panthers. Like, they've managed to turn what should be a promising prospect really into a head-scratching disaster. Now, from the get-go, they failed to provide Young with that stable environment when he first got here. Poor offensive line, lack of reliable weapons, inconsistent coaching. That has been a combination to create a perfect storm, and it starts with David Tepper. Him meddling in with football operations. Bryce Young probably shouldn't really even be in Carolina if we think about it. It should be C.J. Stroud because Frank Wright wanted C.J. Stroud. That's the narrative. And if that's really the case, then C.J. Stroud should have been in Carolina. But, of course, lemon drop head, David Tepper, of course, is thinking about money and ticket sales and media sales and other stuff like that. But honestly, Pat McAfee said it best on his show yesterday. David Tepper is is making the NFL look bad due to what he has done with this organization so far. But we also can't just stop pretending that a rookie quarterback is going to shine with that offensive line he had last year. Young was, from the beginning, was running for his life. And it's not exactly conducting development into an elite quarterback. Like, the play calling was absolutely abysmal. You were going back and forth between Thomas Brown and Frank Wright, so you didn't know who was going to be calling plays. And that they've had plenty of time now to short this shit out, right? They had a full off season, and instead of crafting a game plan that and they were creating this game plan that was going to go towards Bryce Young's strengths. They just, again, Dave Canales said he was going to run the damn ball, but yet the first play of the game against the Saints, he throws a pass. So you immediately put Bryce Young in a high pressure situation and then letting him flounder with every misstep throughout the rest of that game. Right? Like, that's the issue. Like, let's and then we talk about this coaching carousel ever since David Tepper got here, though, too. Matt Rule, Frank Wright, or we could go Matt Rule, Steve Wilkes, Frank Wright, right? And then we go to now Dave Canales, who is trying his hand at this disaster, open his head coaching time with a pass play, which should have been stuck with the run game. And guess what happened? Young overthrew it straight to the Saints defense. It's just a classic mix-up. But it starts with David Tepper ruining. I think it starts with David Tepper ruining Bryce Young, right? I don't think Bryce Young ruined the Panthers. I think David Tepper ruined the Panthers, but I also think David Tepper ruined Bryce Young. Immediately out the gate, getting a head coach that wasn't willing to work with him, change things, change the playbook, maneuver to his strengths, like stuff like that, man. Like, you got to be able to trying to go back. You got to be able to obviously make sure you get the most out of him, right? That's what you were hoping. But again, you can't place the blame all on Bryce. Again, you got to start it. It starts from the top down, right? And last year, again, it's just nothing short. There's a full checklist of issues that started Bryce Young's career off in a bad place. Okay? It starts Bryce Young's career off in a bad place. When you put him with a coach that, again, didn't want to work on his strengths, wasn't willing to change the playbook up for him. But Frank Wright, I got to give Frank Wright where credit's due. I think Frank Wright knew that Bryce Young just wasn't it. And it wasn't the guy he wanted. And again, he bit his nose off to spite his face and wasn't willing to work with the kid, nor develop the kid, nor change the playbook up to his strengths. And, that was the same. This was the same thing he got in Indianapolis, and he just got fed up with it. And that's probably part of the reasons why you'll never see Frank Wright coach in the NFL again, because he's just tired of dealing with these NFL organizations and these owners that just don't want to listen. So so that's where I'm at with that when we talk about David Tepper and him meddling within football operations. But then it also starts with Scott Fitterer and his time being here, the contract issues, the drafts, the free agencies. It also starts there. Terrible contracts, terrible drafts, terrible free agent pickups. But then it also comes down to the fact that then the coaching and the personnel, right? An absolute Hunger Games, right? We had the whole Hunger Games. We've got coaches snitching on coaches. We got rats within the organization. Our facilities aren't the best. It's an absolute shit show. It's an absolute dumpster fire. And this whole IQ test from the draft was absolutely just, like it makes no sense. It's just an absolute shit show. It's been an absolute dumpster fire ever since this guy has taken over as lemon drop head David Tepper taken over. King JP, I see that comment where he said this comment right here. I want to address this real quick. Yeah, I mean, he is supposed to make that pass, but also, and he's supposed to execute that play as well. Yes, I agree. But Dave Canales also told us the game plan, and it did not stick with it from the get-go. Like, you should have stuck with your game plan from the get-go. That's what I'm saying. And he ran from the game plan, but he felt like running the ball 20 times in one game's enough. I know we were down 17-0, but why run away from your game plan? But there was also plays that Bryce missed. He overthrew four plays that could have been crucial momentum swings in that game against the Saints. You had your chances to turn the game around at least and make it somewhat competitive. But you don't run away from your game plan straight out the gate. You don't just say, okay, Bryce, go out there. But I'm not going to place the blame on I'm not going to place the blame all on just the Panthers from the front. It's on Bryce too, because we can't place it all on just one person. It's multiple things that go into this. Bryce Young hasn't exactly covered himself in glory either. Like his decision making, again, I've told y'all, it's about as reliable as a GPS that always sends you to that wrong address. And I said it last night. He's got this habit of holding on to the ball too long and throwing it too early. And neither approach seems to work out. His reads are often off, and he's suggested to recognize pressure or coverage. I think here's the thing. The kid coming out of Alabama and going into the NFL doesn't seem like the same kid. Like when you watch his game film in Alabama, when you watched him in Alabama, Young's got talent. Because literally there was only two draft picks, if I'm not mistaken, that Bryce Young played with on that offense was Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams, and both of those guys were first-round picks. And I think those were the only two that were first-round picks out of Alabama on that offense during his time there. If I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But he's not making the most of it. Like when a quarterback is constantly making poor decisions, it's not just the team that suffers. It's a signal that something isn't right. His failures to execute plays are killing any offensive momentum and it stalls drives. And if he can't adapt and improve, that blame is just going to continue and continue and continue to fall on him, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. All right. I greatly appreciate it. So the mutual destruction, right? There's just that mutual destruction here. Who's running who? It's a bit of a Mexican standoff because the Panthers have created a shit show situation for Young. Now, this year, it's a different story. But, I felt like this year they went out, of course, this offseason free agency draft, did everything they could to build around him. Young's own shortcomings are amplified by his own disasters, like this franchise mismanagement, Young's failures to feed into each other, creating a never-ending cycle in impetude. Like if the Panthers don't sort this mess out and start supporting him a little bit more properly somehow, some way, whether it's development or whether it's personnel. Like the offensive line is good for me now. The wide receivers are good for me. Besides Jonathan Mingo, Jonathan Mingo's Terrace Marshall Jr. 2.0, 2 fumbles in a game. He hasn't just shown anything. He hasn't even shown a glimpse of anything that Xavier Getz showed me on this past Sunday. But Bryce Young's career might be doomed if it gets, because if Young doesn't get his act together, improve his performance, and we don't see an improvement against this Chargers team, which they've got a stout-ass defense, he's going to be remembered as one of the biggest busts in recent NFL history. Just because of the multitude of what Carolina, and it's also because of the multitude that Carolina gave up, what they gave up for him. It's just about whether the Panthers ruined Young or if Young ruined the Panthers. It's just a symbolic disaster where both parties are equally responsible at this point, I think. Because until the Panthers clear their act and Young starts living up to his potential, this is a train wreck that's only going to get worse. So, is this his last chance? Like, is this game, guys, are y'all saying, like, right now, is this his last chance? That Hunger Games report was wild, JP. Just ridiculous. I feel you, Clay. Yes, 23 views, only 10 likes. Actually, we got more than that now. Looks like we've got 24. We've got 35 total people watching. Make sure you do me a favor. Smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Yeah. Smash that like button like it's David Tepper's lemon drop bald head as hard as you can. All right. Maybe think about it as you're like teabagging him or something. I don't know. Whatever you're into. You know what I mean? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Again, do me a favor. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. So is this his last chance? Because we're now Bryce Young staring down the barrel of make or break. This is a huge week 2 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. And if you think the pressure's high, you're damn right. Because this isn't just another game on the schedule, folks. This could very well be Young's last shot to show he's worth the hype. Or he's just simply another overhyped bust again. Like I said, let's be brutally honest here. Bryce Young's start to the NFL career has been an absolute disaster. This kid has been walking highlight reel, poor decision-making, inerrant throws, all around futility. Like, through week 1, he looked like a deer in the headlights, struggling to find with the basic reads, failing to keep the offensive moving. The honeymoon phase is over now. It's time for Bryce Young to either sink or swim. Sink or swim. Like, listen, I want nothing more than this kid to really work out. Right? Like, I want this kid to work out. But it's just like, that game was against the Saints was just awful. You know what I mean? Like, it was just absolutely awful. Like, and I know I'm here and I'm sitting here and I'm bashing the kid. But what else, what do you expect from me? You know what I mean? Like, the Chargers, with their aggressive defense and talented roster they already have, like, they're not exactly the best medicine for this kid. Like, if he's been bad so far, facing against a team like the Chargers, are going to make his problems even worse. The defensive line and secondary, they're probably going to be looking to feast on Young's mistakes. And if he's not not fired up after that Saints game, they're going to make him pay dearly. I need to see more dog out of Bryce Young. I haven't seen enough dog out of this kid to say He's a dog, right? That was the big thing with Dan Morgan. We need dogs. I need to see the Alabama Bryce. I need to see that. Because our patience as Panthers fans and this fan base, it's wearing thin. We're in a rough spot. Like they traded up. They used that number 1 overall pick on you, Bryce. And the early returns have been absolutely dismal. This fan base is restless. Have you guys been on Twitter lately? Holy shit. You talk about toxic. The front office is under immense pressure to justify the investment because Dan Morgan, there's some questionable calls that he made this offseason now that looking at this roster. And then he used one of the worst words that you could ever use, which is retool. You can't use. And another thing, let's talk about. Here's another thing. I'm still going to pound the table on. You got a whole new coaching staff. You have a whole new personnel, for the most part, and you didn't try to play any of your starters until the last preseason game at all to see where that chemistry is with this team. When you should have done that against the Patriots' first team or the Jets' first team, they should have been out there on the field too. I get that preseason's preseason, but it can tell you a lot more. And we saw it last year. And then this year they decided to think that it was a right idea to not play their starters. Well, who was the genius behind that? And look how that worked out. Like, we got to call things how we see it, folks. Like, we can't sugarcoat this shit anymore. We got to be realistic with ourselves. And all of you people that thought this team was going to win 10, 11, 12 games, you are absolutely delusional. Sorry. We have to call people how it is. We have to call it out like how it is. Like, it's that bad. Like, there's no reason, though, again, and I will tell you this again. Oh, Broski Bear, 7 to 8 wins is not delusional. I said 6. I moved up. I said 6 to 7 wins is the ceiling. I said the floor is 4. I don't think that's too delusional. I mean, after you go in 2-15, you can't. I mean, you think you can't be any worse, but the way that after that Saints game, we also could still be overreacting. Broski Bear, the delusional ones were the ones on Twitter saying that we were going to win 10, 11, 12 games, whereas here, or others were saying, 6 to 7, and then you had those that just didn't believe it all, and it was 4 or 3, right? But I don't think it's that delusional. 7 wins is not that delusional. What's delusional is when you think that this kid was going to win MVP, when you thought this team was going to win 10 games or more and win the NFC South, when you got blown out by the team that came in second last year, but no one believed in, and also didn't think their offensive line was very questionable, and their defense was older and not prepared. But this team was not even prepared for this game on both sides of the ball. Let's be honest. On both sides of the ball, this team was not prepared. But again, the Panthers are in a rough spot. They traded him up, right? They traded up for him. They used that number 1 overall pick. And the early returns from him have just been dismal. The fan base is restless. His front office is under immense pressure again to justify this investment. They went out this past preseason and tried to invest as much as possible. The offensive line looks fine. It's those corner blitzes that we saw in the last game. That's on Bryce for not reading the defense. I can tell you right now, it's clear that if Bryce Young does not turn things around soon, this franchise will consider other options. The quarterback carousel in Carolina has been this never-ending headache ever since Cam Newton left. Teddy Bridgewater, Kyle Allen. I guess you could consider Kyle Allen. I don't know. PJ Walker. I'm just naming guys. Okay. Sam Darnold. Right? Like Baker Mayfield. You had Baker Mayfield, folks. We had Baker Mayfield, and look what he's doing over in Tampa. Look what he's doing over at Tampa. He looks like the best quarterback in the NFC South right now. But we decided to move on from him because really it was a coaching issue now that we're seeing it. And an owner issue. You had Baker Mayfield in the palm of your hands, folks. You had Baker Mayfield in the palm of your hands. You could have kept him and built around him. You could have been a 9-8, 10-win team every season. Maybe even more. Young's performance could dictate whether this Panthers could double down on him or start searching for the next big thing. Because like this week 2 game, again, I'm going to tell you, could be that tipping point. If Young flops against this Chargers and doesn't show even any competency whatsoever, the call is going to be for his head, and it's only going to grow louder. More importantly, the coaching staff might start thinking about benching him, and they probably should. But again, then there's that narrative. If they don't bench him, then it's David Tepper is meddling with football operations again. There's going to be that narrative. You're going to see that on Twitter. You're going to see that from other podcasters. You're going to see that from other YouTube content creators. But if he does bench him, then that means Dave Canales is going to move on from him, I think. I think that's a sign that he's going to move on. Or he's sitting him and making him learn, even though Andy Dalton might not be the best guy for him to sit behind. Because when we talk about the Patrick Mahomes and the Jordan Loves, they sat behind Jordan Love sat behind a great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, who wasn't that bad, but maybe more like a Derek Carr at best. I mean, you could probably compare them both to that. But you also got to have to be looking at alternatives in the future. There's a guy in Pittsburgh right now. There's a guy in Pittsburgh right now that got traded by the Bears that I would take over Bryce Young right now, who's probably going to start this Sunday because of a certain individual who is going to be out. This situation is where losing isn't just about the scoreboard. It's about saving a career or potentially salvaging a franchise. I'm just saying. There is a reality check here, though, folks. All I want is Bryce Young. I want Bryce Young to be great. I want Bryce Young to pan out. But there is a reality check that he has, and there is no other way around this. He has to step up. He needs to do it now. I know this is a tough Chargers team that we are going to be facing, but he has had his fair share of excuses. A shaky offensive line, inconsistent coaching, and lack of playmakers. But those excuses only go so far because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and all you Bryce fans, listen to me. The quarterback's job is to make plays, execute the game plan, and lead the team. If he can't do that, then he ain't worth a damn. This Charger team that isn't exactly known for its defensive juggernaut status is a massive red flag, right? This Chargers defense is going to be no slouch. It is also not impenetrable. Young has a chance to show he can handle a decent pass rush, make smart, accurate throws, and if he fails to rise to the occasion, he is going to have a long road ahead of him, and the Panthers will give him the boot. This week 2 matchup against the Chargers isn't just another game on the schedule for Bryce Young. It's a test. It's a chance for him to prove that he is not a complete bust, and conversely, a signal that his career could be heading into the crapper because this team have invested a lot in him, and he has to deliver, or he's going to face the consequences. Because if Young can't turn things around now, he might as well start looking for a new career path because the road ahead will be steep and it's going to be unforgiving. Because, again, Bryce Young is playing in a man's world. That's what the NFL is. This ain't no pussy shit. This ain't no JV. This ain't no varsity. This ain't no travel football. This is no AAU. This is not junior college. This is not this is not even Alabama. This is not the SEC. This is the NFL. And it doesn't matter what division you're in. It's a total different ball game. Josh, listen, I got the same energy for Evero. But it doesn't help when your quarterback, Josh, it doesn't help when your quarterback is throwing interceptions and puts your defense in a bad position. Doesn't help them do that. It also doesn't help when your quarterback can't help drive down the field and keep your offense on the field long enough for your defense to also have a breather. Can make that case. I mean, Josh, that's a big concern, but also at the same time, your quarterback didn't do you any favors to keep your defense off the field, much less put them in better situations. Interception. 2 of them. Fumbles. 2 of them by the same guy. That's also on Jonathan Mingo. But I got the same smoke for Evero too. And I said it on my channel the past 2 days. You can't blame it all on the defense, though, Josh. You can't just say the major blowout was on the defense. Your quarterback didn't help them put him in a better situation. They didn't keep him on the field. They didn't keep our defense off the field long enough to even get a breather. Then throwing 2 interceptions that puts them in a better field position. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, this is the shit that I don't understand. Did y'all watch the game? And you got Mingo fumbling the ball. That's another one. That's 3 turnovers that turned to 3 scores because of the field position that was given. So what the fuck are we talking about? That's 21 points. That's also on Bryce. The 2 interceptions. That's 21 points they scored off of turnovers. They scored off of actually 4 turnovers on every one of them. Yes, that's on the defense's fault, but it doesn't help when your quarterback can't keep the offense on the field, and then also the turnovers, putting your defense in a terrible position. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to make sense here. So for me, I just need to see progress. Again, I'm going to tell you this. I need to see improvement from Bryce, or this is his last chance. The blowout, yes, was on the defense, but again, you're still not giving the credit. You're not putting the turnovers into consideration, or the field position in consideration, or the timing of how long the defense has been off the field. You're not putting any of that. But the GM, you got to put that in consideration if we're going to talk about the defense. Bryce set up the defense, and Mingo set up the defense for failure on those 3 turnovers alone. And I'm also wondering, folks, and I mean, let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let me know what you think in the chat. Do y'all think Derek Brown was injured before coming into this game? Do you think there was an injury issue there? Because I'm wondering. Yeah, but Broski, we should have never moved to the 3-4 defense. The problem is there. Evero is I think he is a smart DC, but we should have never been moved to the 3-4. It just doesn't fit our personnel, and it never has. Our defense statistically has been better when we were in a 4-3. I mean, our D line was getting, JJ's right. I mean, our D line was getting beat so bad. I think, and it was like JJ said it yesterday. Our D line was getting beat 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's how bad it was. Well, Josh, every other media would say that you're wrong, that he was the worst quarterback in week 1. You might be the only person on planet Earth that might believe that. I'm just saying. I don't know. Brown didn't seem to be bothered during the game unless he did. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. That's what I'm saying. According to PFF, I saw it yesterday. According to PFF, Bryce was the worst. Yeah, but Dalton only threw 1 pass. He might have had a better score than him, but he only threw 1 pass. According to PFF, he was the worst. That's where I saw it. We can pull it up. That's no problem. That was the point before last season takes 2 seasons. You're right. Here to get the right personnel when you switch defense schemes. It's a perfect storm show this season. Yep. Listen, man. Again. This Chargers game is huge. Like, it's huge for Bryce. Like, this could be his last chance to prove it. Like, here's the thing. Like, we got our asses handed to us by the Saints, right? And now we're supposed to be like magically rebound against a well-oiled Chargers machine. Like, I just don't think I'm going to hold my breath on that. Like, Dave Canales has been preaching about a new attitude and that feel-good off-season vibe evaporated that moment that the game started. Like, there's no room for excuses. Like, we look like a JV team, and they don't figure it out quick. It's going to continue to get worse. Right. And this Chargers is a tough physical. They're going to be dominant on the line of scrimmage. Have you seen Joe Alt? Have y'all seen Joe Alt? He worked Max Crosby, who's an elite pass rusher. Joe Alt absolutely worked him. So Harbaugh is going to make sure that the Panthers feel every bit of that, especially since Tepper passed on hiring him. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. But Evero is going to have to come up with some game plan to get some pressure on Justin Herbert. The biggest thing for Carolina is going into this game against the Chargers is they're going to have to stuff the run, and there's two things: stuff the run and put pressure on Justin Herbert. That's it. Like, you stop Gus Edwards, you put J.K. Dobbins, and you force the ball into Herbert's hand. We've seen it before. Herbert's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but he's also one of those guys that he can give you a turnover or two. But from the defensive side, we're gonna have to see that, but I don't see it. But we'll talk more about that this week, because I will be live with a Chargers guy hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna see if he can do tomorrow. We're gonna be breaking down the game, collabing on my channel, so, and on his. So, all right, enough of the last chance shit. Let's get right into it. We got the week 2 picks for you. All right. Let's get the week 2 picks in. All right. Let's start off with that Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs, guys. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow better get their shit together, or the Bengals will be staring down the barrel of a humiliating 0-2 start. They beat the Chiefs once in the playoffs, right? But the way things are going, they're taking home a win this time. The last time they faced the Chiefs, it ended 25-17 loss, where Burrow wasn't even on the field. Bucker kicked like 6 field goals in that game. Like he was on a mission from God. Like, Mahomes isn't messing around. He's averaging 245 yards after that last game per game. So it's hard for me to pick against Cincinnati. I expect the vibes, but with Mahomes walking away with this victory, I think it's going to be close. I can see this game, like, against Cincinnati. I can see that game being like a 27-24 type of game against Cincinnati. I think that's what you're going to get out of there. Another one. Let's get into the next one here. We got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. That is tomorrow's night game. Two teams that need to also get their shit together from last week, because the Dolphins might look shiny with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They were tearing up the field. Buffalo is going to give them some hell. Greg Russo had 3 sacks last week. He's probably feeling a little bit feisty. Tua is going to have to spend a lot of time staring at the sky. I think Josh Allen's got some fresh toys to throw to. You got James Cook in the backfield. I think the Bills keep this tight. Flip a coin, but I'm leaning towards the Bills in this one. Give me the Bills. Dallas, New Orleans Saints. We just played them. Dallas, to me, looks like the real deal after what they did against Cleveland. While the Saints are trying to hang in there, the Cowboys are lethal. When they're on the road, they're very, very lethal. But Micah Parsons is an absolute menace, folks. He might be, between him and J.J. Watt, we might have to have a conversation, because he was eating against the Cleveland Browns last week. So Dak Prescott just needs to avoid being, Dak at the wrong time, right? That's all he has to do. This will be a repeat of the 2021 win in New Orleans. Sorry, Saints fans, it's not happening for you this week. I got to give the Cowboys. I'm going to go Cowboys 27-20. 27-20. All right. Let's talk about that Tampa Bay game. You see them playing the Detroit Lions. Baker Mayfield had a great week 1, right? But let's not get ahead of ourselves, folks. Like, the Lions are going to steamroll Tampa with their ruthless run game. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, they are going to run circles around the Bucs. Now, Baker might get a shot to save the day late, but the Lions just will slam the door on them. They're just too physical, right? I think Detroit's going to come out on top. No questions asked. Close, even though I'm sounding like they're going to just absolutely dominate them. The line's like 6.5. I think it's like a 31-26 type of game. Like, I can see something like that. You know what I mean? But I got the Lions in that winning. The Indianapolis Colts at Green Bay, Lions at 3.5. Jordan Love is out. I picked up the Indianapolis Colts defense because there's going to be Malik Willis is going to be in the game, so probably going to be playing it safe. But let's face it, that's not going to cut it. Anthony Richardson looking like the Anthony Richardson that I wanted to bring it to Carolina. But on the other hand, he will throw some bombs. He's going to crush this Packers defense, who has improved, but Green Bay is screwed, plain and simple, without Jordan Love. So give me the Colts. I'm going to go 2017. All right, New York Jets at Tennessee Titans. Will Levis handed that game last week. Did any of you guys watch that game against the Bears? Like, did y'all watch any of it? Because I'll tell you right now, Will Levis handed the game to him. Like, they were just giving out free samples. Will Levis was like, here. The Titans blew it, man. The Titans blew it. So, sorry, trying to go back there. So, yeah, the Titans blew it. The Jets are coming off a short week. But who cares? Aaron Rodgers will handle business in this one. I think he'll handle it very easily. The Titans will be left wondering what hit them. I think Rodgers is going to shut them down any chance the Titans have it. So give me the Jets. Close game. It's -4. I'd take the spread. I would take the -4 with the Jets if I'm betting. I like them to beat the Titans 26-20. All right. San Francisco. All right. -5.5 at the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold didn't embarrass himself last week, surprisingly enough. But that's about as far as the praise goes. The Vikings are nowhere near ready to handle this 49ers team, okay? Brock Purdy's been tearing it up on the road. He's not slowing down for anyone. I think this game will be over by the third quarter. Give me the San Fran like 28-17. Seattle, -3.5 at New England. New England pulled out a defense is looking sharp. They pulled out a huge win against Cincinnati, an upset, really. Geno Smith, the Seahawks, they're coming off a win. The Patriots have a solid chance of ruining their day. Seattle barely scrapped by with that win. If New England's going to pull off another upset, it'll be because that defense keeps them in it, in my opinion. A defensive struggle all the way. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Give me Seattle, though, 19-16. I'm going to go with that. New York Giants, Washington Commanders, -2.5. The Giants are trash. They were trash last week. At least Jaden Daniels knows how to run the ball. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, threw the ball 42 times like he had no idea what to do, right? He's got some redemption against Washington, but not enough. Not enough to win. I expect a lot of mistakes from both teams, but the Commanders will edge. Jaden Daniel gets his first win as a quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to go 21-20. 21-20. All right. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. If Jaden Daniels, guys, I'm telling you right now, if Jaden Daniels puts on like 15, 20 pounds, we might be looking at the next Cam Newton. I'm serious. Los Angeles Chargers at the Carolina Panthers. We're going to skip that. Y'all going to have to wait for my preview on that. Cleveland Browns Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Deshaun Watson versus Trevor Lawrence, two former Clemson quarterbacks who can't seem to get out of their own way. And Deshaun Watson, of course, has another accusation coming out on him. If I was this guy, I might as well just sit out the whole year and handle my business, but that's just me. He's probably not going to. Both of these teams are a mess. Jacksonville is at least at home. Watson's accuracy is dog shit right now. That's going to bite him again. Myles Garrett, he's probably going to do some damage, but it won't be enough. I think Jacksonville wins this game. I think Cleveland goes 0-2. I think the Jaguars 23-18. I'm going to go with that. Las Vegas Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens. Let's not sugarcoat it, folks. The Raiders are going to get steamrolled. Lamar Jackson is going to make them pay for last week's loss against, for the Chiefs. They're going to take it all out. They're going to take all their frustration out. Baltimore's going to put up points. The Raiders won't be able to keep up. Simple, easy as that. Simple math, folks. It's going to be a comfortable win for the Ravens. I expect them to run up the score. It's going to be 34-20. That's where I see it at. Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. -2 for the Rams right now is the betting line. The Rams are pissed after blowing it in overtime last week. I think the Cardinals, well, they're the Cardinals. That's what they are. I mean, Kyler Murray will try to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. involved a little bit more maybe this time. The Rams offense is going to torch this Arizona secondary. It's very weak. All right. It's another week, another Rams win in Arizona. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams 28-23. All right, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. Steelers haven't won in Denver since, well, forever. I think that's going to change. The defense is nasty. Bo Nix is going to learn that the hard way that J.J. Watt and company are going to make your life a living hell for Denver, right? Najee Harris is going to keep the chains moving. I think the Steelers grab another win, keeping this AFC North lead intact. Steelers 23-18. Put it down on paper. Chicago at Houston. Okay, Chicago at Houston. This is interesting. I like this game a lot because you got some quarterback battles here. Now, Caleb Williams didn't look great, right? He's got his work cut out for him. He's got his work cut out for him. But the Texans are a year ahead in their rebuild. Like, CJ Stroud is rolling, and he's going to carve up this Bears defense. I think Caleb might show some flashes of potential, but Stroud will get the last laugh. I think Joe Mixon putting on that final nail in the coffin. I liked what I saw from Nixon in that run game. I have him on my fantasy. I think it's going to be close, though, because the Bears defense is very, very good. That secondary is scary good. And it looks like the D-line has gotten better. The linebackers are stepping up. I do like the Bears defense. I'm just giving the slight edge to guys like with CJ Stroud, that offense, and Joe Mixon. I'm sorry, Broski Bear. I got to go with the Texans in this one. All right, 26-22. I still think it's close. All right. I think it's close. All right. Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins, Philadelphia Eagles, Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins is in for another miserable Monday night. We know how Kirk Cousins is prime time when the lights are shining. It's not good, bro. It's not good. And you're going up against a team that traveled across the world, right, and put a stomping on a Green Bay Packers team. Now, granted, Jordan Love got hurt, but that run game with Saquon Barkley is ruthless, right? It's like the ruthless aggression era in WWE. That's what it is. Like it's going to be another miserable Monday night for Kirk Cousins. Let's be real. Like he's terrible in prime time. Like the Eagles are the better team. Jalen Hurts is surrounded by playmakers like Saquon, right? You know? So even though Cousins got Bijan, but I think Cousins is going to throw some picks in this game, and I think the Eagles will cruise easily. I think this game is going to be 31-21. there you have it. No bullshit, just the cold hard truth. Looking forward to these games, and we'll be watching them. Guys, make sure you do me a favor, okay? Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, again, go check out the NFC South Roundtable if you haven't done it so already. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Yeah, make sure you go pound the like, but make sure you pound the like button here. Make sure you subscribe here, but make sure you go check out the NFC South Roundtable. So I appreciate you guys coming in the chat today. Hear me out on the Bryce thing. Some of you agree, some of you may not agree, and that's okay. Like, again, all I'm wanting is progress. All I'm wanting is competent football. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. I don't think I'm asking for much. Marcos Cash says 4 people have not pressed the like button. 4 people. How many likes are we at? Because we are trying to get a live goal of 100. We're trying to get a live goal of 100. We're at 23. Y'all are slacking. Y'all are slacking. It's funny because like y'all are slacking so bad because like you'll click on the poll and the poll has 56 votes, but yet my like button only has 23. So make that sense to me, folks. Make that make sense to me. All right. Make that make sense to me. Again, and in the chat, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel. It goes every donation, whether it's a super chat, whether it's a Venmo, Cash App, it all goes back to the channel, right? Like I had someone send me a Cash App the other day. That's going towards the merch for the channel. Like someone sent me a Venmo the other day. That's going towards the monthly StreamYard thing. So, you know, everything, every donation, even a like and subscribe, it all helps, right? And that's all I ask for. Really, I could care less about the money. But if you feel generous and you want to donate, great. But all I ask from you guys is really to smash the like button and subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts. So get in the comment section every time I'm live. Also, share the stream. That also helps out a lot too. So I greatly appreciate you guys. All right. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. As always, 3 things. Be safe, have fun, and as always, keep pounding. Peace.